So I'm Denis Salanța, I'm coming from V Interactive. We are a company doing customer retargeting and remarketing. Over the course of these slides, you will be seeing how we progress our architecture and up until what point we got to and what are the next steps. So the article I wrote was about the serverless computing and what Azure and Microsoft offers in this field. I will be giving the history, a short history, a brief history of how servers become to exist and their journey to becoming cloud, and then a service you will be consuming, or in the end you will not care anymore about servers and just write your code. So that, and then an example applied on the Microsoft stack, the Azure Functions. So starting with the need of the servers, how does that need come to be? Let's say we are a business that we are doing customer retargeting, and we started, I don't know, 10 years ago, or even later, older than that. And what happened? We did, let's say, a monolithic web app, Windows Forms, or web form application. So this was based on .NET. I know maybe you are fans of Java, or there are here. It's the same on Java stack as well. So that application had to be hosted somewhere. We used a server in a location in our company, headquarters in London, and that's where the application ran on. So we would be sending emails from a Windows service to different customers we got the emails from. And we had to scale. The business grew, more clients came in, multiple users, or multiple email addresses got captured. We wanted to reach more people. So in order to do that, we had to add more servers. And now with more servers, you have a server room that you need cooling for, you need to have maybe, or to train more people in doing infrastructure maintenance, doing operating system updates, and the whole stack of things that relate to a server. So it's not necessarily related to the business we are doing, like we want to target or to get more customers buying stuff for our clients. We were focusing on managing that infrastructure. And why weren't we focusing on getting the business, the actual business needs for our clients? The next step that we managed to go to in, I think it was two years ago, we went to a full-on cloud provider that's, you guessed, is Azure. Why we had to go to that part? We had to be in multiple locations around the world. Now the business, the services we were offering had to cover everywhere from China to Brazil to North America, and so multiple locations. It wasn't, let's say, easy to rent a server room in all those locations and provide cooling and all the additional costs, the operational costs that come with that. So we had to think smart. We chose the cloud provider for that. And now that we could offer and focus still operating that cloud infrastructure, that's not easy. You would still need to perform OS upgrades. Every time there's a new Linux kernel, you have to patch it and get to the latest version, or Windows update, security patch, and all the stuff still has to be supported by the operational people, by the ops person. Again, yes, it's good to have those around, but maybe developers or more people could be hired to focus on bringing more customers in or providing more business, more products to the clients. So the next step was starting leveraging what each cloud provider started to do, offering solutions, platform as a service. Those are databases, for example, in Dynamo, that database for Azure, or we have the SQL database in, it was for AWS, for Amazon. SQL from Azure, and so on. There were some levels of operational cost getting abstracted. You no longer have to configure a machine that will run SQL Server on it and set up the needed high availability cluster for that. Those were delegated, or maybe you could say outsourced, to the cloud provider of your choice. And there were different platform as a service offers on the market, not only related to the database, but maybe you would leverage a thing like Azure website or Heroku Dynos. Amazon, I heard they have something like that, Elastic Beanstalk. So those were things that would get you or get your business application quicker in production, and abstracting away various things like how many CPU cores do I need to put in order to support my website, or how do I scale this website when there's Black Friday and many people are coming and buying various stuff on the internet. You weren't supposed to provide more servers, but you could maybe just configure a couple of parameters in each of the cloud providers offering the platform you were using. So yes, you would still have to configure those parameters for scaling, for changing, or how you would deal with various spikes. What we could call at this point the platform as a service. There is a tweet I read about Adrian Cockfrog. He was saying that if your pass can efficiently start in 20 milliseconds, you could call that a serverless application. Yeah, well, Azure websites, for example, or web apps, they don't start in that 20 milliseconds. You still have an IaaS server behind it to be up and running. It's not there yet. So Microsoft wasn't that ready at this point to offer that. I'm now coining that term, the serverless. What does that mean? It's a misnomer. What we cannot say is that it doesn't mean there's no servers. There are servers. And yeah, if you could see this tweet down here, it is like calling remote work employee-less work. You are doing remote work, you do have employees as well, so it's not excluded. So going to the official term, let's say, that Martin Fowler put up was application that significantly depend on a third-party service that's called backend as a service, or on a code that runs in an ephemeral container, function as a service. I will be speaking more quickly around those two terms. So a BaaS, or a backend as a service, could be a rich application that you will leverage inside your, let's say, business application. So you could have an application service happening using Auth0, or you could store various things in a Firebase database. For function as a service, you would like your business code or your business logic to be run somewhere and not think about those servers or managing the application server that's Apache or Nginx. You don't want to think about that, you want to write your code. And usually a function as a service responds to the sort of event. It's event-based. You would have to have an event triggering your application. While there's no events, you don't get to have any processing happening. So how does that differ from a traditional application? We have the usual monolith application. If we could split that into a serverless, there are multiple approaches. So before we had the client browser and then the server, and that gets connected to a database. There is this approach. It's an example. There could be multiple approaches on how you would break that down. For example, you have that authentication service happening, as I said, in an Auth0 provider, the backend as a service provider, or you could have your, let's say, search function or the purchase functionality implemented behind an API gateway written as a function, as an Azure function or a Lambda function in Amazon Stack. And those get connected to your database provider as a service. It could be, like I said, Dynamo or Firebase. you could leverage maybe, let's say for search, you would use Algolia to index your products and then seamlessly able to provide that search functionality directly inside your browser. So what we have so far, the benefits on using the serverless architecture are the quick time to market. You could easily get to the clients or to the business, or resolving the business need by writing the code, focusing on what the business wants to achieve, not to think about any operational and infrastructure costs. And yeah, there are some complexities. I'll skip the benefits and go to the drawbacks. We have more complex debugging. Yeah, there are multiple components getting or being involved. You have to stick to some standards on or best practices on how you write that serverless architecture. Yeah, Azure Functions, that's the Microsoft offering, and they do that. They do support multiple languages. You could write Java. They support PHP, or even run any exe file, executable file you would like, with certain limitations. They are based on app service. And these are the types of events they respond to. So you could have I don't know, a service bus message or a table, a new row inserted in a column, and it will trigger your function's action or code. There is some pricing involved. It's calculated like execution times plus total number of executions. And that's the total you will pay for a month. Yeah, this is the pricing module in more details. Questions?
In the middle, I connect here, but yeah, if you have questions.
Că Statele Unite au votat o lege pe care au acces la toate informațiile ale cetățenilor altor țări, atâta timp cât sunt pe serverele de la firme din Statele Unite, se numește sau nu spionaj industrial?
Chestia asta?
Da.
Dacă e state-sponsored...
Adică dacă eu îmi fac ceva, un produs, pe un server care e în cloud,
okay.
Și serverul e în America,
da.
Și Statele Unite au acces direct la el.
Așa e. Și pentru asta poți să optezi pentru a avea serverul de... sau unde să-ți ruleze funcția ta și poți să pună și bazele de date unde să fie hostate în Azure, cel puțin și în Germania, dacă vrei.
Dar dacă e tot american, adică Microsoft e american.
Așa. Serverele nu sunt
tot americane.
Pentru asta există contracte. Tu ar trebui să-ți alegi ca și server o locație din Europa, din EU area, și aici sunt tratate care sunt invalidate sau nu la momentul curent între Europa și America, depinde dacă chiar e vorba de ceva terorism sau alte lucruri, poate chiar au acces. Da, îți oferă chestia asta, poți să alegi. Da? Ok, dacă vrei să ai totuși serverul tău, Azure are și ceva pentru asta, zice Azure Stack, poți să-ți instalezi într-un cloud privat al tău, on-premise, și poți să beneficiezi de aceleași funcționalități. Nu știu sigur dacă și Azure Functions ar fi deja disponibile acolo, dar ideea lor e ca tot ce oferă în Azure să-l aducă și pe instanță privată din cloud. De la portalul Azure.
The cloud with somebody else's computer.
Or problem. Yeah.
Okay, și dacă mi-aleg pot?
In English.
English.
Okay, I'm choosing an instance of cloud, like in the European Union, and it's supposed to be protected by the European Union laws. What about the backups, mirroring, stuff like this? So about the data can reach the United States. Am I still protected?
Yeah, you are still protected as you can choose your locations for the cross-region disaster recovery plan. You could choose to be maybe in Asia if you like, but even in Europe, they have 3 data centers at the moment. So in 3 different countries: Ireland, Amsterdam, and now Germany, and they have now one in UK as well. So there are multiple locations, unless a huge earthquake happens that shakes all the Europe. Yeah, you could still be in Europe with your data.
Okay, thank you.